Yeah, and arguably their most impressive performance to date in the Champions League, Real Madrid. Struggled early on, but saving the best for last. A very dominant performance, full of class and full of experience this evening.
Disappointment for Pep Guardiola, a smile on the face of Carlo Ancelotti, but it's Kylian Mbappe's night. Real Madrid march on, they're into the last 16. It's Atletico Madrid or Bayer Leverkusen. It's finished 3-1 tonight, and Real Madrid have beaten Manchester City 6-3 on aggregate.
Going to be the 10th time that you face Pep Guardiola in the Champions League. That is the most meetings between any two managers in this competition.
I'm tired of it to see, because I still think he's a fantastic manager. We understand really well that it's not a game between me and him. It's a game between ManCity and Real Madrid, with the two squads full of fantastic players.
It's always nice to face him. It's difficult, always beat me most of the times, but I have a huge respect from Carlo, what I've done in all his career, and not just as a football player manager.
Bellingham coming in, scored! And in next to no time, everything has changed.
Last week was one of our best performances in this season. We would like to repeat.
It was the worst game that we played this year. Okay, we could win when we are 5 minutes, left. But they had chances. We had a really good half. In the second half, they were better. And when we scored the second goal, when they were better, and after then we were better, we conceded the second and the third. So it's the game.
Pep Guardiola has said that he only gives Man City a 1% chance of going through. What percentage do you give it?
I think he said that, but I think they have a lot more chances than 1% for sure. We understand that it will be a difficult game. No one can know now what is going to happen.
I said that comment because when I read everything in the media hours after our game, the 2-3, and the media the day after, all the media, you included, they will agree with me, they just want 1%. So we were out. I never play a game like don't believe we can do it, never ever. So it was more the fact that these people say 100% because the people was right with me. With the season that we have, I have to be realistic. I'm honest with myself, with analysis with my team. With the result we have, you know exactly we have to win the game for 1 or 2 goals the margin. And this is what I try to do.
As for Manchester City, well, half the side changes, 5 of them for Pep Guardiola's team. The 3 January signings all make their Champions League starts tonight. Omar Marmoush, Kusanov and Nico Gonzalez, of course, in the absence of Erling Haaland, who starts on the bench. Well, it was a huge victory, wasn't it, for Manchester City? Probably a confidence boost ahead of this game against Newcastle at the weekend. Probably the most Manchester City-esque performance we've seen for a while. A clean sheet, 4 goals, and midfield control. And I think that's what's been lacking, and that was provided by the new signing Nico Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think it was overall control. Obviously, the clean sheet helps, but even in the short period he played against Leyton Orient, you could see his style of play is so important to the system that Pep's created, and I think it was obviously evident on the weekend against Newcastle. He plays and controls the game and the tempo of the game from behind the ball, so which means if he is to lose it, if he is to give it away, which happens, he's still there goal side, where I feel if you have someone like Kovacic who travels with the ball, he loses it, there's bigger gaps, obviously as the noise increases. But in regards to his style, again, just he's not Rodri. Let's not get carried away and say he's the new Rodri, is this, that, and the other. But his style of play is very similar. He understands where the spaces are, where to reduce that, and allows the team to get up the pitch. So, again, this is what goes unnoticed. These aren't the elements of the game that fans come to watch, fans come to see, and even young aspiring footballers want to become. But these are so important, especially for a defensive unit.
I think one of the key parts of it as well, yeah, there's a similarity to Rodri's skills, so the other players, that similarity would be, I think, more comfortable for the other players around in the team, which gives a comfort overall. But I think also his ability to play over different various ranges, but also forward more often. When he gets the ball, his head's always up looking forward and plays it forward, which then gets them on the front foot much quicker. So I think he's brought a little bit more of a stability, but still, in this environment, this level of football, this game, we haven't seen him yet in a Man City shirt, so there's a lot to be kind of worked out. Is he the right guy?
Well, we're going to see Abdelkader Kusanov tonight. 20 years old, joined from Lens. I mean, this has got to be the biggest game of his career, Julian.
Definitely. I think he's only been in Europe a couple of years, so definitely be his biggest test. Even if he was an established veteran against Vinicius Junior, because I can see him out wide in fullback areas because he's very, very quick. And again, someone that enjoys defending, a young defender that is probably better out of possession than in possession, which excites me. But in regards to the test, this is going to be the toughest he's going to face in his career so far.
Considering sort of that Real Madrid very rarely throw away a first leg advantage, considering how fragile and inconsistent Manchester City have been, and considering that they're missing Erling Haaland, who, by the way, had a chance to make history tonight. He's on 49 Champions League goals, one more and he reaches 50. He would have become, I mean, I'm sure it will happen at some point, but the fastest and the quickest player to reach that milestone. But he's not there. So without him as well, without the pomp of Haaland and the confidence of Haaland up front, this is going to have to be a very different Manchester City side in the way that they approach this. How do you think they're going to do it?
Yeah, well, we've not seen him come out for the warm-up, so I don't even think he'll get on the pitch. I'll be very surprised if he does. And that's obviously sad for a Man City perspective. But listen, when your main goal scorer doesn't come in, you have to find different ways of playing. Mamouche, I think the fact he got a hat-trick before, I think, sets him up perfectly. Yeah. And you look at that and go, there's confidence within the building in terms of him and being confident to give him the ball. This scenario, this stage, yes, we've not seen him, it will be very different. But it's not impossible for Man City to get a result here, given what they've done over the last 6-7 years. So I don't see this as an impossible task. It's a very difficult one, very tough thing to achieve today, but they have the players who can do it.
We're going to get wet, guys. But in
yes,
regards
come here, quickly, come up here.
Whoa, quick.
Guys, you caught that live on air, didn't you? This is the reality of live TV when you're pitch side. I'm actually
You're standing in the water. Why are you standing there still? Whoa, so am I.
Right, the iPad's gone.
Watch that lever, don't shrink, Real.
Is it coming back?
No, Camavinga misses out with Tchouaméni alongside Ceballos in midfield. The front four have combined to score 66 goals in all competitions this season.
The light is at the end of the tunnel now. They can see the silverware in the distance. This is when it starts to get serious. And Real Madrid are notorious for actually turning up at these stages. They've shown they can do that. They've shown they can flick the switch at the right moments. And the man walking off with the ball, Kylian Mbappe, the hat-trick today. Everyone's been talking about a slow start to his time at Real Madrid. That happens. There he is there with the man of the match award too. But that happens. But he's finally clicking into gear into the Kylian Mbappe that we've all grown to love and respect as a footballer, a wonderful footballer. And today he gave us a great example of how, as a number 9, you should perform.
That's exactly what he did. It was almost a perfect performance from a man who carries so much weight on his shoulders, Jolien. He's carried it well. He takes the criticism when it comes. But on nights like this is when you know that Real Madrid have got this special guy in their ranks.
Yeah, I don't think anyone ever doubted his talent. There was just going to be an adaptation period for him joining this club, especially off the back of the season that Madrid had last year. But tonight he definitely announced himself with this group of fans and this club. And if they go on to win it, this will be probably the moment they recognise that Kylian Mbappe was their guy and he's the main man in big moments. And games like this and occasions like this call for exceptional talent, and he's definitely one of them players.
Yeah. Okay, well, it is Real Madrid then who march into the round of 16. For Manchester City, their European campaign is over, and it's happened at a very, very premature stage. We'll be talking all about that in a moment. Well, Pep Guardiola will be gracious in defeat as he hugs Carlo Ancelotti there, but inside he will be hurting because his Manchester City side are out of the Champions League in the playoff round in this new format of European football's top competition. Beaten resolutely by Real Madrid, and that man Kylian Mbappe, the architect of their downfall. So much for Pep Guardiola to think about after this game. And I mean, how damaging is it? What are you laughing at?
This guy.
There's stuff going on around, people having to run. We remember when we were young, when we were older players, at the end of the game having to run, and Kevin De Bruyne is doing it there now. It's actually disheartening, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
especially after defeat.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Exactly. It's the last place he wants to be right now, back on this pitch. But I mean, how damaging is it? How damaging is it for Manchester City to head out of the Champions League at this stage?
Yeah, it's devastating because they're expected to win and they want to go far in the competition, or one of the favourites should win, should I say. But you've got to put things in perspective. Like, this is still Real Madrid, and like I said before the game, if they would have come here having won the previous 10 games, they wouldn't have been favourites. So in the condition and the form and the inconsistencies that they have this season, we shouldn't be overall surprised. But the performance is probably the most devastating, because it was a thoroughly deserved win, controlled win, and it reminds me of the game that ManCity, or the display that ManCity showed at the Etihad a few years ago, or was it last season, in regards to the 4-0, 4-1 against Madrid.
It was the manner in which they got beat today. I think it's the first time I've seen a Man City team led by Pep Guardiola almost like tapping out, almost looking for the final whistle. And that's testament to what he's produced here over his tenure. They've been magnificent since he's come through the door here, and they've produced. But this season there have been many moments where you've looked at it and gone, that isn't the identity of a Pep Guardiola Man City team. And tonight was another example of that. But I think you can't take anything away from Real Madrid. Like, I agree with Jolyon. They're a formidable team right now, clicking into gear just at the right time, in a moment when this Man City team are lacking any type of confidence.
Well, if you think about what happened last week when they were 2-1 up in the 86th minute, they let it slip from their hands in those final moments of that game. How, do you think they'll be thinking how different this could have been had we come in with that victory, or at least a draw? Psychologically, it might not have been as difficult and as much of an uphill struggle.
Yeah, of course, you don't want to come here with any kind of goal deficit, and they did. So they would have looked at that game. But again, like I've said, that's happened prior to this season, prior to this run of form. Me and Rio was here a few years ago. It was 2-1 walking down from the gantry, and all of a sudden it's going to extra time. So in regards to this team, this club, as in Real Madrid, and this competition, you kind of rule them off in any type of result or performance.
It's crazy with the Man City team, though. I'm looking at it and going, what are they going to do now for the rest of the season? How do they kind of turn this around in terms of their form in the league? And I don't see any triggers at the moment. You're seeing Kevin De Bruyne must be injured. Haaland's obviously injured. And you're looking at all the players in the team look like they're lacking any type of confidence, like I said. And as a collective, they look like a team a little bit in no man's land at the moment.
Well, they've conceded that the league is not going to happen this season. Top 4 is what they're aiming for. But at the moment, the only thing they're playing for is the FA Cup. And that, for a size of the magnitude of Manchester City, can't be good enough, can it?
Well, obviously not when you're favourites to win every competition you enter. But again, you've got to put things in perspective, that the heights, then the standard that they've set, we haven't seen. So in regards to what they're doing now, yeah, it's not great for the club, and probably not predicted by anyone outside of the club especially. But in regards to what they've done, it was never going to sustain for forever. There was always going to be a drop-off, but unfortunately there's too many elements that have probably dropped off at the same time.
It's the speed of the drop-off as well. It's been like, bang, out of nowhere. Like, they've just gone from being like a totally dominant team, won the league in last year, to a team that's just almost like fell off a cliff at points.
Rio, what would you say that would be a normal size drop-off then? Like, if you've won 4 in a row and done things that no one's done, what do you expect to happen? If you're not matching that standard that everyone's been set or they've set.
I'm not talking about league position. I'm talking about the standard of football that they're playing, and the way that teams are being able to go toe-to-toe and actually come in with a little bit of confidence, whereas they had an aura about them for the last 4, 5, 6 seasons where teams were beat in the tunnel before they come out. Now teams are rolling their sleeves up and saying, listen, we got a chance. We know if we get a goal, this team will fold at the moment. And that's never been the case at Man City under Pep Guardiola. But what I would say, like Jolyon said there, it's unprecedented what they've done. And there was always going to be a time when they did have a drop-off. And it's come at a time now, and they have to show the resilience and the ability to react to that.
What do you think needs addressing most in the summer? We know that Pep Guardiola signed a new contract. We know that Haaland is tied into a huge contract now. He's got many more years at City. But there are other areas that they're going to have to address to refresh this squad. What are the priorities, Rio?
Well, we can look at what they want, but I'd look back at what they've actually taken out of this team, and I think they've taken a lot of goals and a lot of pace and power out of this team, and that was a stark contrast between the teams today as well. Not just quality, but actually pace and power, the ability to run off players in transition. And I think losing over the years, Sterling's gone, Sane's gone, Mahrez has gone, Rodri's out of the team now. It's a massive difference. Alvarez has gone. These are players that in transition, in terms of mobility for this team, would put teams absolutely on the back.
Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker's another one to add to that. There's those players put teams on the back foot. And before anything, Kylian Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius Junior put teams on the back foot. Forget quality, but they put teams on the back foot and they run behind. That's kind of come out of this team now, and they're having to find other ways to score goals and to hurt teams. And at the moment, along with other things that are contributing to that, it's not happening.
Yeah, obviously they're going through a transition period and they need to recruit a new type of player. But again, maybe just rest. The fact that these group of players have most majority of them played in the Euros and have consistently played for 12, 13 months, all of a sudden, rest might be the factor. We've seen the impact that not having a rest had on Rodri. So hopefully, come to the end of the season, he's back and everyone's feeling a bit more confident. You go into the new season, regardless of the previous season, you go into a new season feeling a bit more confident.
There's a lot of mileage on these players as well, and there's a lot of stress being put on them. When you're winning constantly like this, the demands is stressful on your body physically, but also mentally to keep getting yourself to this level year in, year out. So, as I said, I'm not surprised that there's been a drop-off with this team because of the kind of the terrain that they've been on isn't an easy one. Even though you're winning, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's been really